All right, we get it rolling on the Krueg Show. Wednesday night edition. Giants win. Giants win. Do they have a shot in the West? Oh, no. Wait a second. What? They have no shot. Buster Posey's Giants win in Denver.
Baby. Yeah.
The owner, Buster Posey.
The owner.
He becomes a member, first former player to join the organization and board of directors as a principal partner. We have no idea how much Buster paid to buy in, do we?
No.
I'll say this, though. For them to allow Buster to buy in, it's like they gave him money.
That's a shocking amount of money.
Essentially, he's investing his money. He cut the check, right? He wrote a check to the Giants owners and said, here, I'm buying in. But essentially what it does is it allows him to buy into making a ton of money.
Yep.
He might make, I would be willing to guess that Buster Posey potentially, depending on what his buy-in is and what percentage he has, he might make more on his ownership of the Giants than he did in his entire playing career.
Right. I mean, it'll at least double or triple in the next 30 years.
I mean, think about that for a second. You know, it's like an incredibly safe investment to own a pro sports franchise when you look at how they escalate in value.
Like, 1-2% maybe, something like that.
No, I don't even think 1 or 2%.
Well, he's one of 31 owners.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I wonder how much Johnson has. 25, 30%?
I think it's less than 1%.
25 mil.
For Buster?
Yeah.
Buster doesn't have it's probably not much.
Like
did he pay in or did he negotiate?
I'm sure he did.
Did he negotiate getting shares? And who knows? In his
maybe he only bought like 30 cents worth as a marketing ploy for the Giants.
The question is why? That's the question. Why is he an owner?
I think because he's smart and he realizes that he's going to just.
Well, no, it makes sense from his perspective. The question is, why are they allowing him in their party?
PR move.
They aren't doing it for shits and giggles. They ain't doing it because they like him. They have to be doing it for selfish reasons. Mm-hmm. And I think it has to do with how they're viewed and using him. I think they probably said to him, hey, Buster, we really want you, since you're so respected within the game, to help us recruit free agents. Mm-hmm. And he said, yeah, give me a piece of the pie. Give me a piece of the pie and I'll help recruit free agents. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. I'm not on the payroll. You're not going to put me on the payroll. I don't want to be on the payroll. But you want to utilize me as a way to attract future great players so you can make future money. That's great. I'm all for it. I'm all in. I'm a giant for life. Give me a piece of the action. I think he probably demanded a piece of the action to do all the things that they want him to do to attract free agents. That's my guess.
He also can be a mouthpiece for like when Farhan or whatever, when everybody's ripping Farhan for some move he made and we're like, oh, we need a real baseball guy. Then they can roll Buster Posey out there and be like, hey, come on, let's not be too hard on Farhan. This is
I think Buster is a guy that is not a pushover. He's not doing this just to be. I think he's got too much character and pride to be used as a prop. I think he's going to have a voice.
A couple $100 million, though.
I think he's going to have a voice in the say of the direction of the team when they need, when they sit and talk. Those 31 owners, the majority of them, if not all of them, know nothing about baseball. So let Buster, like kind of Derek Jeter. Wasn't he kind of an owner?
He ran the show.
Yeah, but wasn't
he was the GM? He was the head. But he was the head of baseball operations.
Right. He was partial owner, right, too?
I think he might have gotten a piece of the pie, but I mean, but he ran the show. Buster's not going to run the show.
No, I don't see Buster running the show, but I can see Buster quietly saying, you want to win? You got to hire this guy. You got to hire this guy. You got to get your minor league system built and the best guy to go after is this guy.
Rothberg says Posey realizes the Giants have a bright future. I don't think it's that. I think Posey realizes the Giants have a bright economic future.
Sure, I think he's going to capitalize on that, and he also, I believe, has pride in the Giants. I just watched tonight 45 minutes the 2014 season on YouTube, the highlights of the whole playoff thing, and it was just so inspiring to see those guys. I mean, it was Posey, it was Mad Bum, it was Belt, Crawford, Panda, Sabian, Bochy, all these guys that were true, Giants. And it kind of made me feel like, dang, we got this guy, Farhan and Gabe here, that are just like, they're not part of the historic, the past of the greatness. Why not bring that greatness back? I'm not saying this on the field play, but use those guys to use the Giants. The
guys he replaced, though, had signed a bunch of bad free agents and made a bunch of bad deals. So I mean, it wasn't. It's not as simple as bring everybody back. Heck, Bobby Evans could have been brought back.
I think that's a really good.
Bring them back and
bring back a little bit of that. Yeah,
bring back a little sauce. I mean that when you watch that and you see how the crowd was. I mean, San Francisco was going nuts. I mean, it was just crazy. And then you think about it, it was 3 and 5 years. This was a dynasty, and it's become just like a laughing stock. I mean, last year was great, but now we're back to picking up, Padlo and Papirski and Ford and Stewie Fairchild and 40 other guys that have been picked up that are that are not going to be here in 2 weeks.
They're not here now.
Yeah,
I know, but the guys they just picked up the other day, they picked up Willie Calhoun, and they sent him, DFA'd him, and these guys are clearing waivers. Why are they clearing waivers? Because nobody else wants them.
Dan, you're arguing for like a little bit of a culture change, too.
Not
necessarily yes. GM decisions, although that does bleed into each other a little bit.
I want culture change. I want the regime of, whether Sabian's, he's gone now, but have him on the, back on there and making decisions. Don't give Farhan the full. He hasn't proven himself to be able to do anything. He's made 2 trades that I know of, and one was Chris Bryant. That was a good trade, but that was done by Scott Harris.
Was it a good trade?
Well, it was okay. It helped him last year. It pushed him. It was a momentum. They had to do it. They had to. I mean,
let's just wait on that one before we call that a good trade. Those prospects
they had to.
But I mean, let's see what those prospects become before we call that a good trade.
Right.
You traded prospects for a veteran. You let your veteran go at the end of the year. You didn't win a playoff series, and now it's time for the Cubs to get their end of the payoff, and we're going to find out.
Yeah,
you can't call that a good
trade at the time. It may turn out to be.
But I mean, a good trade at the time, but that you traded prospects. Eventually, you're going to find out what those prospects are, and then it's probably not going to be a good trade.
The Giants did nothing.
Yeah, you can only make it a trade based on now, though, right? Like, if somebody ends up being awesome, then
I mean, Bryant came here.
You're not so the Astros, the Red Sox weren't responsible for Bagwell being a stud, and they just tell Red Sox fans, "Hey, man, you do it for now. You had Larry Anderson; he was good. Now, live with the fact that Bagwell's a Hall of Famer in a different uniform."
What's the other
All
trade
I'm saying is, when you trade prospects for veterans, you can't announce it was a good trade until the prospects either crap out or make it. And then, it's way premature.
If you judge the trade, San Diego's trade for Soto, you would say right now it's horrible for San Diego. They got rid of all these top prospects, and Soto's done nothing. But it's too early.
Well, yeah, totally. You have to wait. Anytime you're trading prospects for today, prospects are about tomorrow. So you can't make a trade where you're getting today for tomorrow, and you're judging it only today,
right? And
you're not judging it tomorrow. Let's wait till tomorrow. All right, and then we'll see.
Also, they DFA'd. Brinson, I believe, today.
Did they?
I don't know if they DFA'd him. Outright assignment is DFA, isn't it? Outright assignment.
Well, they might have DFA'd him and he might have cleared waivers, and then they outright assigned him to the minors.
Right. Yeah. So what they're doing is basically just picking guys off the scrap heap, seeing if they, hey, throw something against the wall, see if it sticks. If it sticks, great. We got Yaz, we got Wade. Those Tyro was a good acquisition. I mean, Tyro looks like a solid baseball player that, if not an everyday player, a guy that can give you over 100 games a year. Tyro I like. I went around the rest of that team. I like JD Davis. We'll see how that turns out. I think he's having a down year. Bart, that's our guy. He was drafted in old regime. Shortstop, I still like Brandon Crawford, because when I watch the old stuff, I don't care what you say. You don't throw away a veteran that's given you everything. So I'm all in. I mean, he's got one more year left, but I'm not going to dish Brandon Crawford ever. So
you're not going to what him?
Dish.
What does that mean?
Just like, have you never heard the term dish?
No, I haven't.
Right?
do the dishes?
You're not going to dish him? What do you mean? What are you dishing? And
it's kind of a term.
You mean dish? Dish
or dis?
Dish. I think you meant dish.
I said dish. Did I say dish?
You said dish.
I meant dish.
All right.
I'm not going to diss him.
There's deep fryers, there's air fryers, there's dish, there's dish.
I'm still thinking about that air fryer last night, man. It's just an experience of my lifetime.
Rothberg is on the verge. Thinks Giants should re-sign Rodon and Jock, sign a few free agents, and print those World Series tickets. Robert, they're 32 and a half games back.
The way they can do that,
I don't think you want to re-sign Rodon. Rodon's going to want a 5-year deal at $20 million a year, and he's had major arm problems almost his entire career. There's no chance in hell I'm re-signing Rodon for $20 million a year for 5 years. No way.
What do you think of this deal? I thought of this the other day, trying to be creative with Rodon. Sign him to a 2-year deal with a 3rd year for an option, $30 million a year. So you can afford the annual average salary. You just don't want to get stuck years 3, 4, and 5 if he's hurt. So you pay $30 million for 2 years. 3rd year, you have a club option with a buyout of $15 million. So if he's trash, you just spent $75 million for 2 years, but you didn't kill your books for the future. But this way, if Rodon is really good, and make it a mutual option, so he has the option of a buyout at $15 million. So if he's doing great, and he's like the Cy Young after 2 years, and he wants to renegotiate, he can walk away, or you could walk away. That's how you sign.
You're going to pay a guy who's 13-8, $60 million.
Look at it. He's one of the top 3 pitchers in the National League this year. He's right up there for the Cy Young.
But I mean, you're also talking about a guy who's had a lot of arm problems, and you're going to guarantee him $60 million. You don't think that's kind of reckless? $60 million for a guy who's hurt?
Otherwise, what are you going to give him? 5 years and 110 like Gosman? No way.
No, but I don't. First of all, I don't think you can get him for. First of all, teams are coming with 5-year deals, so you're not going to get him for 3. And
you're getting them for a higher annual salary.
I don't like that either way, though. I don't like that either way. I don't think that. I think they should just count themselves lucky that he didn't get hurt this year.
Well, and still got a couple more starts.
I know, but go get some. Go get multiple guys. I'd rather almost see them do. Look at LA. They picked up Tyler Anderson.
Will sign him for 5 years and 110.
They got a lot more revenue than you do, but they also have Tyler Anderson. They got for nothing. They've gotten incredible years this year out of really low cost starters. I'd rather them go sign 4 guys and have a bunch of.
You don't want them to get a star?
No, not a Rodon. I don't mind a star. Go get a star who I know is going to play. Give me Trey Turner.
Rodon's
go get a guy
this year.
But Danny, have you not heard of Rodon? Have you not seen his baseball card? Here's his baseball card. Here's his innings pitched: 139, 165, 69, 120, 34, 7, 132, 167. This guy has never pitched 180 innings in the big leagues in any one particular year.
Looks like he will this year.
He's gone 9-6, 9-10, 2-5, 6-8, 3-2, 0-2, 13-5 last year, 13-8 this year.
What's the last 2 years? What do they go by that thing, right? FIP or something like that, or what is that?
Yeah, I mean the interesting thing is he's
only 9 games over 500 in his career.
I was with Larry for the majority of the season, but I'm now at the point where my Giants fandom, I'm so insecure about this team and their ability to get free agents that I kind of don't mind the Trent Baalke Jacksonville Jaguars model where, you know what, maybe we can't get Judge and we can't get Ohtani and we can't get these giant guys. But you know what? Let's still do something, even if we have to overpay. Let's way overpay for Christian Kirk because he normally wouldn't come here. Let's at least start getting things going in the right direction.
Well, if you weren't going to pay Gausman, why would you pay Rodon?
That's why I wouldn't pay him 5 years.
If you didn't want to pay Gausman, why would you pay Rodon?
Gausman wanted 5 years. I think they did.
And Rodon's going to want 5 years.
Sure.
Rodon might be the best pitcher that's willing to sign with them.
But Rodon's going to want 5 years.
But they're not going to offer him 5 years.
I know. That's the point.
But they want him back. So why not pay a higher annual salary?
You went 5. You could have gone 5 years on Gausman. If you wanted to go 5 years, they don't want to go 5 years. I know.
5 years. So why not?
I don't either.
Let me ask you this.
So don't.
If you got an opportunity to go 2 years at $60 million with a $15 million buyout, that's $75 guaranteed, or the third year kicks in and you get 90. Why wouldn't you take something like that? Because if you're the Giants, if he has 2 good years, they would go ahead and want him for the third year.
I don't know, man. He is basically because he's always had. First of all, he's a rookie in 2015. He's had arm problems every year except for this year.
He's the best player, though.
But it doesn't matter. All that matters is that you're paying him a shitload and he's 500 pitcher.
You have the money to pay annual salaries. What you don't want to do is get bogged down while you're.
But you're assuming that he's going to take that. I don't. Why?
I'm not assuming that he would take that. I'm going to.
Why? Why would he take it? He made it. He took his make good deal this year.
Isn't that a good?
He made good.
Maybe other ball clubs view him as injury prone or something. I'm not sure.
Oh no! This guy's gonna. This is the top free agent pitcher in the market. He's going to get paid. I'm just saying. I wouldn't pay him.
You just said he's 13-9, and you wouldn't pay him that much money, but he's the top pitcher on the market.
He's the top pitcher on the market because that's this is free agency, and most guys get signed.
The guy dominates.
That's why this is why if you have to go to free agency, you're fucked. Because everybody's old and everybody's super expensive.
He's like 30 and he likes San Francisco.
But he's been hurt a ton.
Yes, but you got to take
He's a 500 pitcher until 2021. He's a 500 pitcher with arm problems. Now he's got 2 years. 2 years in a row where he wins 13 games, and you want to guarantee him $60 million?
Wait, Dan. The question maybe is, Larry. Okay,
I'd rather go spend it elsewhere.
Yeah, that's a reasonable take. But then, who else? Name a combination of pitchers you'd be happier with.
Oh, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I'd be happier with almost anybody because they're all healthier. Give me Chris Bassett. Give me Charlie Morton. Give me Sonny Gray. Give me Sean Manaea. Give me Jameson Taillon. Give me Taijuan Walker. I just named 5. That's an entire rotation of guys right there.
Those are all Farhan pickups. Those are all mid-ass players.
Those are mid-level. Those guys are bench guys.
Chris Bassett's an all-star.
You don't start him in fantasy.
Tyler Anderson you can get right now. Look at the year he just had.
He'll probably regress.
Sonny Gray, Sean Manaea.
What are all these people?
Jameson Taillon, Taijuan Walker. What do those guys all have in common? They're all relatively younger and they're healthier and they won't cost as much.
Have you guys watched Carlos Rodon? The guy's one of the most dominant pitchers
He's
in
great.
baseball.
He's been terrific. But
So
I mean,
why
he's
wouldn't
in
you
a
want a guy that
contract
goes
year.
out there and dominates? He's had 10 strikeouts.
Because he's had. Danny, is this mic not working? Arm problems. Do we need to go look it up? Do you need me to go read it?
I know he has arm problems. That's why I'm suggesting 2 years.
So that's why I don't want to go. First of all, I think it's pie in the sky to think that the top free agent pitcher in the market is going to take a 2-year deal when there's going to be teams out there that are so desperate to pay him $5. So I think he's going to get his $5. So then it's just a matter of do you want to go 5 on Rodon and get age 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35?
No, I said
and
no.
Do you think he's going to be healthier in his 30s than he was in his 20s?
Maybe he's fixed the issues. He's had a solid year this year.
Would you gamble on your own money there? That's a lot. That's a shitload of money.
If I had a ton of money like that,
we keep bitching about them not spending the money. Like, it's okay to spend.
Spend it on position players. Spend it on position players. They're not nearly as risky. I'd rather give you an example. This is what I would do.
Aaron Judge has been injured the last 2 or 3 out of the last 5 years.
Generally, position players are safer. Would you agree or not?
Generally, but
okay. So there you go. There's the end of that debate.
Well, let me finish this.
Players are safer.
I don't want to end this here because I'll tell you why.
But here, let me say who I'd go after. Okay. Give me Chad Kuhl. Chad Kuhl's 29. It's not going to cost you nearly as much, and he's pitched pretty good baseball. That's one.
So you're in the playoffs, and you're going to throw Chad Kuhl up against?
No, your number one guy is not going to be a free agent. It's going to be Harrison. I think your number one guy is going to be Harrison.
Not right.
But what I want to do what the Dodgers did this year. I want to do it with numbers. Get me a bunch of guys. LA had great depth. Give me 7 or 8 guys that can all start. So this is what I would go with. I like Chad Kuhl. He's 29. He's way, 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 way cheaper. There's one. Okay, so I'm getting Chad Kuhl. Now Kuhl doesn't cost you anything close to Rodon. So you still got plenty of money to go shopping. Then I want Taijuan Walker, who's got a player option. We'll see if he opts out. He's 29. 29-year-old power pitcher. Now I've got 2 arms, and I'm nowhere close to paying the kind of money that Rodon's going to make.
We know
now I can go out. Now I can go out and get like a Sean Manaea. Manaea's 31. I like his future ability to stay healthy better than Carlos Rodon. And if I can't get him, I'll take a shot at Chris Bassett, who is, 34, but I can get him for a shorter term for less money. And I would try to see if I could make a trade for somebody, but I'm not going to pay the top free agent arm, 5 years, $100 million. And I think that's where the bidding starts, to be honest.
You're a penny pincher, Larry.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't believe the same. Because here would be my thing.
It's not your money.
Why didn't you go with Gosman? Because
they didn't want 5 years.
And why did they not want to go 5 years?
I'm not saying 5 years. Have anybody heard me say 5 years?
Danny, you're setting your own price. The price for free agent starters is 5 years. Okay, in fact, it's probably more like 7 years.
What about 2 for 80?
Seriously, that's true. The top free agent arm in the market is going to take a 3-year deal.
What did Scherzer sign for? He's signed $42 million. Was it 2 years or 3 years?
$42 million.
Yeah. And where are the Mets right now?
That's so much above. That is so much above what his going rate was.
Who cares? Where are the Mets? They're going to the playoffs, and they got a chance
look how many other guys they signed.
Scherzer, DeGrom in a 1-2 punch. That's how you get to the World Series. That's how the Giants got to the World Series.
The Giants got to the World Series by drafting and developing their own
but
pitching.
The Giants don't have that right now, and this isn't a franchise that wants to, should be sitting on the sidelines.
By the way, you're paying Scherzer. You're the guy that you love so much. They paid $45 million to this year, or whatever it is. He's got 10 wins.
Yeah, he's been out. He's had side issues, but
there you go.
He's going to be ready for the playoffs.
Wait a second.
Okay, come back when 30 in the playoffs when he wins.
Wait a second. Back to reality. You signed a 38-year-old pitcher for $45 million, and he has 10 wins. He's got 10 wins
for the playoffs.
Dude, the Warriors, Draymond Green missed 40-something games.
Let's focus on the sport that we're talking about. Okay. We're talking about baseball. I'm just saying that I would rather. First of all, there is no endless money pit. You know the Giants. Giants are very finite. Money. The Giants have money, but it's finite. They don't have the. I'm not spending that money on fucking Carlos Rodon and his super injured arm. I'm getting Trey Turner. I'm getting Aaron Judge.
Guys are going to come here probably. Even if we pay big money,
then you're just going to lose. Because you can't hit and you have no position players. You don't have an everyday lineup. So why is Carlos Rodon? Why do I want Carlos Rodon? If Carlos Rodon, Danny already said it. Carlos Rodon was great this year. Yeah, and the Giants are 32 games out.
Yeah, they need a lot more.
Why would you sign him to a big money long-term deal?
I didn't say long-term.
Danny, you're not getting him otherwise.
Listen, let me ask you this.
You're not getting him otherwise.
I'm offering you right now. I'm offering you 5 years at 110. That's $22.5 million a year. That's what Gosman got. Or I'm going to offer you 2 years guaranteed at 60 with a third year if we keep the option.
He doesn't have to make. Danny, you're pretending like he's like in a bad situation. He's not. He's the top arm in the market.
Yeah, but let me answer. Just answer my question. Just answer my question.
No, I don't want
you answer my question. Ryan, would you take a guaranteed?
You're assuming you can get him for that. You can't get him for that.
You don't know.
Danny, show me the example of a 30-year-old pitcher who took a 1-year make-good deal and then went back into the market. No.
I said 2 years guaranteed.
I said, name me the pitcher that did what Rodon did this year. Took a 1-year make-good deal and then went back into the free agent market and took a short-term deal. They don't. He took a 1-year deal to rebuild his value so he could hit the mother load. So he can hit a 5-year. Danny, if you, I guarantee you, I'll say this. You're saying 2 years. I'm saying 7 years.
There's no way he's getting 7.
I'll bet you $20 that the number of years that he gets on the deal will be closer to 7 than 2.
I think he gets 5. That is closer.
That's closer to 7 than 2.
You haven't heard me. If you listen, 2 years with a third-year option, club or player option, $15 million. That's 3 years, $75 million. If you walk away, okay? So that turns out to be $25 million a year if he elects to move on or the club elects to move on.
But you're assuming that he doesn't have better offers. I think he's going to get better offers than that.
He's going to get better offers above.
Dan, look at the list of free agent pitchers. Look at the list of free agent pitchers. He's absolute. If you look at the free agent pitchers, they rank them on MLBTradeRumors.com. Go check it out. Who's number 1? Carlos Rodon.
Okay, listen. If he has 2 great years, the Giants are going to pick up the option for the third. He's going to get another $30 million. That's 3 years at $90 million. Are you taking 3 at 90?
You know what he's going to sign, Dan? He's going to sign that 2-year option. You think is going to be a club option? It ain't. It's going to be a 2-year option for him.
I said either club or him. Either way, so both.
Then it's not a 2-year deal, is it? Johnny Cueto signed a 6-year deal with a 2-year option, and the Giants had him for all 6 years and paid him every penny.
No, but it's a mutual option on the third.
Now it's a mutual option.
That's what I said the first time.
But I'm just saying he doesn't need to do that. He's the top arm in the market, Dan.
Yes, and if he's good for 2 years. He
wants to sign with the San Francisco Giants, who are 32 games out of first place.
Because he loves it here.
He loves it here. He's never from. He's not from here.
He says he loves the Bay Area. His wife loves
Come on. He's going to get a 5-year deal, and he's going to get a 5-year deal for $25 million a year.
No, he isn't.
I think
he's going to get 20. He's going to get the same deal Gosman got. He's not going to get more.
What did Gosman get? 5 years, 110.
That's 22.5.
Okay, so we're arguing over $3 million a year.
Yeah. So I'm asking you,
and that was last year, so everything goes up. So if he gets the Gosman deal and just inflation, he's going to get close to 25 years.
$90 million at 3 years because I'm a free agent again, and I'll go sign another 3-year deal, and I'll turn that into another $70 million.
But Dan, you're forgetting this is a player who's been hurt his whole career. Why would you sign a 3-year deal and then hope to get it going in 3 years when you're 33? He's right now he's done all he needs to do. He can just hand his baseball card to his agent and say, I've done all the hard work. Go find me the mother load. He doesn't have to do a 3-year make good deal and enter the market again in 3 years at 33. Why would he? Somebody's going to give him a 5-year or 6-year fully guaranteed deal between 20 and 25 million. Do you don't think so? I do. I really do.
I do too. I know that'll happen, but I think he wants to. Maybe he wants to do less.
Well, maybe he wants less. Maybe he doesn't like money. Maybe he just loves cold weather and fourth place. Who knows?
Yeah, Anonymous says it's 35 million more. No, you're assuming that he's going to walk. If the Giants after 2 years say we don't want you for the third year, they have a 15 million buyout. Yes, at that point it's 35 million. But if neither elects to move on because he's doing well and he wants to get the 30 million for the third year, he's got 90 million in 3 years. He's averaged 30 million a year versus 22 and a half somewhere else. I think that's how you get creative to sign guys like this, because I agree. Don't sign a guy for 5 years. I'd
much rather try to kill the pitching thing with numbers and hope that Harrison's your ace.
That's what
and hope that you
year,
can develop your other aces. Don't they have a couple other young arms that they really like in their system?
Bednar's, but he's had an off
I thought there was
year.
another starter they liked besides Harrison.
Oh, they like the kid they just drafted, who's going to be in the Arizona Fall League too. Carson Wisenhunt. He was their number 2 pick.
CAD V20 says, Larry, sign Rodon, stop the hating. It's not the hating. It's like, I just know the Giants. They don't have a unlimited budget.
To change
but Danny, they don't have a single outfielder.
Yeah, $30 million, Larry. They have $150 million to spend.
I'd much rather go in. I mean, if you can get Rodon at a very reasonable 2 or 3 year deal, but there's no way. There's no way. I mean, that's why, when Farhan was interviewed last week or 2 weeks ago, and he talked about guys, he talked about Peterson coming back, but then when it came to Rodon, he didn't say anything really committing because he knows that the market for Chris Bryant was going to explode, and that's why he didn't talk up re-signing Bryant. And he knows the market for Rodon is going to explode, and he doesn't want to set the He doesn't want to set the market for an injured pitcher. And I do not blame him, because if you told me in April that Carlos Rodon had a serious injury and was done for the year, that would not be like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It would be like, okay, I can kind of see
30, 40 million all the time. It happens. If the thing is, you don't want to eat 30, 40 million for 4 or 5 years. You can handle it for a year.
Right,
so,
but you're getting your years confused. This year is the year that Rodon took a reasonable deal on a 1 year deal to rebuild his value. He's not going to rebuild his value again.
He's the Athletics top free agents, and let's just say let's go after him or let's not go after him.
And let me just hold on. Let me answer this question first, Justin. I don't know what you guys out there are thinking. I'm not talking like Rodon's the only guy they're going to sign. They obviously need to go out and sign 4 free agent everyday players, okay? The Giants are loaded with money, okay?
But Giants and I know that they're not going. They haven't signed a big-time free agent outside of Rodon. Name one.
And they need to change that.
Aaron
Rowand.
They
don't, they're not going to draw anybody, and they're going to be in last
I just think, let's be realistic. They
can't have a chance
to
go to the playoffs next year if they go out and sign guys. The Mets did this year. They went out and signed a ton of free agents. They got Marte. They got Mark Canha.
Scherzer.
They got
So I mean, this is what I'm saying. You want Rodon, but then you also want them to go sign a bunch of guys.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at this going, you know what? It's not an endless pool of money. That's all.
They have over $100 million annual to spend.
But they're not going to spend it. They're probably going to spend. What do you think they're going to spend? If you had to guess, realistically, we're betting on this now. How much money do you think they will spend in average annual this year on their payroll?
Total, I mean, what the total?
How much will they take on? How much will they add to it?
80 to 100.
I would say it's going to be like 50 to 60.
I think that you guys are having.
I agree with you. They should go 80 to 100.
Well, if they
I would love it if they went 80 to 100.
They need to.
But that would be like.
Let me read you a quote.
That would be some major players
today. Giants
Larry's projecting reasonable. He's like projecting and being reasonable about projections of based on what we've known about this regime.
Right.
And Dan is saying what he would do if he was in charge.
Yeah, and I'm saying exactly what I would do and what they need to do. Because if they don't, they're toast. They're going to finish at best 4th place.
But but Danny, you didn't do cartwheels when the Dodgers signed Tyler Anderson, and look at the year he's had.
That's just adding. That's like putting bacon on top of your cheeseburger that you love because they've already.
But look what they got out of Gonsolin. Look what they got out of Tyler Anderson. You're not going to be able to just shop off the top shelf of free agency and just say, you know what, we'll take this guy. Okay. We want they're here are the top 5 free agents. We're going to sign 4 of them. What? Come on.
No, you're not. But you're going to. Let me read you a real quick quote that.
They really need a whole new outfield.
Yeah. Giants chairman Greg Johnson on a call to discuss Buster Posey joining ownership. We're well aware of the shortstops in free agency and the person who can hit in the Bronx. We're well aware we've got some gaps that need to be addressed. I think this year they're getting the message. The media is all over them. The fan base is getting tired of Farhan's dumpster shopping. And if he does it again in his final year of his contract, the place is going to go crazy. If he does nothing this year, when they have this much money, then it's over. It's over. I tell you,
I actually responded to that by saying, and the Giants fans are well aware of their club landing very few major free agents over the past 20 years.
Yeah.
The Giants' major free agents in the last 20 years are Barry Zito, Aaron Rowand, and Carlos Rodon.
Okay, let me ask you this, Larry.
Let's go over the top free agents and move on. You guys are having 2 different arguments.
No, that's what this. I mean, that's what this regime, not like past regimes or other teams.
And Dan is saying what he would do. Neither so it's a different.
I know, but Dan would trade for Trout, and Dan would trade for Ohtani, and Dan. But I mean, come on, let's have. I don't mind having a fantasy discussion, but let's have a discussion that's based on some reality instead of just, you know what, I would go sell my house and I would buy a house on Fillmore and Broadway in Pacific Heights overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, come on.
Okay, let me ask you this. How are you going to attract free agents to the Giants? What are you going to have to do to get your guy, Trey Turner? What are you going to have to do?
I'm not pretending that the Giants have a magical elixir.
What are you going to do to get him?
I'm about to say, if you give me a chance.
Right.
I'm not saying the Giants have a magical elixir. What I'm saying is they probably could only really get one top tier free agent. One. Now, I'm not saying that they can't sign any other players beyond that.
That one, though, that's what I want to get from
that one player that they can sign, that top free agent. They're going to have to outbid everybody else. They're not going to get anybody to come here for less.
Exactly.
If it's a hitter, you're going to have to get somebody to come here for. But Dan. What your thing is totally illogical on is that the Giants have like 19 different ways that they can get a pitcher. They can sign pitchers. Why? Because pitchers want to come here and they'll come here for less. They can draft a pitcher. Why do I say that? Because they drafted Bum and Kane and Lincecum. They can sign international free agents. They can make trades. The idea that they're going to sign the top pitcher on the market, I think when you look at things realistically, they're not going to be able to get the hitting that they need unless they pay those hitters at the top of the scale. So I'm just saying logically, do you want to pay a hitter at the top of the scale and attract him here? Or do you want to pay a pitcher at the top of the scale to bring him here? And I would say,
I don't think it's
I would much rather pay a Judge top scale or a Trey Turner top scale, because I think you have to. If you don't sign Judge and you don't sign Trey Turner,
you got to go get Correa.
What do you got?
You got to go get Correa and pay him top. You're going to have to.
He's in the exact same neighborhood. So you're only getting one of those guys.
You're going to have to.
Realistically, you're not going to get more than one.
Comes to the Giants, that's going to be of.
I'd rather pay a position player. You'd rather pay a pitcher. You're going to
have to be $4 to $5 million above everybody else.
Right.
Annually.
Yep. I agree. You're gonna have, but I'd rather pay that for a position player. Why? Because Carlos Correa is going to stay healthy. Trey Turner is going to stay healthy. Aaron Judge hopefully would stay healthy. He's still a position player. I don't have total confidence that he'll stay healthy. But all of these guys, I would put in front of any pitcher. And then now we're not talking about any pitcher. Now we're talking about Carlos Rodon, who's got a great arm, but he doesn't stay healthy. And that's been his MO his entire career. So the last thing I want to do as a Giants fan, especially if I'm Farhan, could you imagine the nightmare if the Giants can get one major free agent and they give Carlos Rodon a big deal and he gets hurt in spring training? It's like, oh my freaking God, that's a nightmare. And it's totally possible where if you sign Trey Turner for $5 million more than anybody paid him or offered him, yeah, you're paying him too much money, but you still get Trey Turner and he's probably going to be healthy every day. That's my whole thing is about health.
They're going to have to sign these everyday players for 6, 7 years, maybe 8-year contracts, and realize that the last 2 to 3 years, they are going to be bad contracts. But
I think Dan, I think you and everybody else needs to come to grips with this can't be done as far as this idea that you're going to take the Giants and in a year where they don't have prospects and outside of maybe one or two, and they have tons of holes to fill, and you think that they're going to do this at the top of the scale, we're probably both totally dead wrong. They probably have no chance at Rodon, no chance at Carlos Correa, and no chance at Trey Turner. And they're going to probably have to kind of fill in with tier 2, 3, and 4 guys, both in the rotation and in the bullpen and in the lineup.
The trouble is, you guys are both
the reality.
I understand both your arguments; they're both making sense. As Larry, that is so freaking reasonable, and it pains me. But also,
just based on their history, I'm just basing it on what they've done. Believe me, I want them to sign all these guys. Yeah. I do too. I'm not saying I don't like Carlos Rodon. I see he's great. I see the same guy that you see. Yeah, I'm just saying that let's look at who they are, what they've done, and what's realistic.
So I'll say it's super realistic, although it's hard to criticize Farhan next year if the Giants are crappy, if, your expectations were that there was, it was unrealistic for them to get any of these guys anyway.
Here's what I said on Twitter.
I'm just saying, like Sabes did this, in '97. He brought in, he brought in Mark Lewis. He brought in Darryl Hamilton. He brought in like a bunch of solid veterans. Like they weren't stars. None of them were at the top of the free agent market. They were all just in their prime, establishment, like Brandon Nemo. Great name for the Giants. Why? Because he's got a lot of fire. He can play center field. He's in his prime. He's going to stay in his prime. He's not at the top of the market. So all I'm saying is, instead of spending a lot of money on a Rodon, maybe the best plan is to go get 5 Brandon Nemos.
Maybe even overpay 5 Brandon Nemos.
Doesn't that make sense?
Like I'm down with the Jaguars thing where it's like, we know that the best wide receiver that is willing to come here is Christian Kirk. So it's okay. We'll just we'll overpay. But at least we'll bring in guys, and then we'll at least have a competitive ball club around our youth that's developing.
Mole says, here's $5. $5 for never having to see Aaron Ronan's batting stance again. Anonymous. Nemo is just another journeyman.
Anonymous, he's a starting center fielder.
I think that's hyper negative.
Hold on.
Brandon Nemo's a journeyman? I don't think he's a word. Show me Brandon Nemo's stats. Aren't they pretty good?
Up right now. Brandon Nemo.
I think his stats are pretty good, to be honest. And also, he's a center fielder. This year he's
hitting 264.
14 bombs.
That's not bad in the day of the shift.
But he's 29, right? So he's 29, and he's from Cheyenne, Wyoming. So maybe there's a chance that he doesn't want to live east. Maybe he wants to live west. Ned, will tell you that, he used to canvass this free agent list, and he used to say, Larry, you'd be shocked at the number of guys who, before you would even get to the end of the season prior, before we even get to the free agent market, that their agent had already said, hey, you know what, my guy's not going to sign with you guys just because you guys are west of the Mississippi and my guy wants to be east of the Mississippi. So that's a big part of it. I mean, that's guys want to go. I mean, Trey Turner, I've already heard, wants to go back east. So chances are, if you're the Giants, if you're going to get Trey, you're going to have to outbid the Dodgers and probably outbid all those teams in the East that he wants to play for. So, I mean, I don't think you're getting Trey. I don't think you're getting Judge. I just don't.
Let's find 3 guys in the top 30 that we could realistically target.
DeGrom is awesome, but he's had arm problems. Verlander's old. Judge is not leaving New York. Carlos Correa makes sense. Why? Because he's not wed to Minnesota. He's been there for a year, and he's a super blue chip player at the super blue chip spot. And look how old he is. He's 28 going into his age 28 season. I think he was 27
last
this year.
The Giants were going to go for these shortstops that were available on the market this year, but Crawford had such a great year. You could not just not sign Crawford, re-sign him. Everybody was wanting.
I would go after Carlos Correa and hope I could land him, but I don't think Trey Turner's going to sign here. Rodon to me would be no, because I don't want to. The same reason I didn't want to pay Gausman 5 years, I don't want to pay Rodon that 5-year deal even more.
Dansby Swanson would be good.
But he's from Atlanta, playing in Atlanta. The odds of him leaving there are not good, though Atlanta sometimes gets cheap. Xander Bogaerts is interesting because Xander Bogaerts probably wants to leave Boston.
That's an expensive one, though. It says expected to opt out of 6-year, $120 million deal with 3 years plus remaining. So that means he's looking for
he's looking for $25 million minimum.
And he's been a little inconsistent, and he's 30. I'm not loving that. Loving that. Wilson Contreras is nice, but you don't need him. You got Bart, right? So that's a no-go. So now we're down. Now you're down to Edwin Diaz, who's a closer. They're not going to spend money on a closer. Kershaw is a Dodger. He's going to be a Dodger. Josh Bell. Now, who was it? Was it Josh Bell?
Go for Josh Bell.
Josh Bell makes sense. Circle Josh Bell. Josh Bell makes sense. Why? Because San Diego probably won't want him coming off of the nightmare crash he's had there. He's a switch hitter. So, Farhan has talked about he wants everyday guys. I think they probably would like to part ways with Belt and go in a different direction. And Bell gives them the ability to do that if they want to.
Buy low on him. He's clearly not enjoying his time in San Diego, I feel like.
Yeah, he's not doing well down there. The other thing I will say this.
Too old.
I said this on the
I love Abreu, but he's old.
That the Giants would what would probably happen, I just said what I would do and what I want to I want done, but what I believe the Giants will fall short probably of all these guys and say we were in the ballpark with Judge, Turner, Correa, Nemo. We were in on all of these guys, and we offered more, but they just didn't sign here. And we're going to be
Chris Bassett. Chris Bassett is envisionable. He's totally envisionable. He's been 34. Here. I know, but as far as we're talking about, you're acting like everybody wants to be a Giant. I'm being realistic, saying who the hell really wants to be a Giant?
Rodon is a Giant. He signed here.
I know, but Danny, you're pretending that Rodon's not a free agent. He is a free agent, and he's at the top of this list. And there's a ton of teams that want him. And so you're not going to get him for 2 years, 3 years. You're going to have to go 5, 6, or 7. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I think Farhan's already told us that it's not going to happen by the way he's talked about it. Go look at those articles when he's asked about Rodon.
He should have traded him then.
He should have, but he didn't. Bassett, I can see it. Bassett makes sense. Why? Because he was here in this market. He probably likes it here to some degree. He's gettable. He's solid. I could see Bassett being here. Wainwright's too old.
Wait, how many? What would Bassett's contract be? Like 3 for $60?
No.
It says he's expected to opt out of a $19 million option.
So, but that's a 1 year thing. I would say he's going to get like
2 for 35, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say like maybe 2 for 35 plus like maybe a third year that gives him like 39. Not 39 in the third year, but gives him like a $5 million buyout to go away. So maybe the total package is 39. Like 2 years for 34, maybe 17 a year plus, if you want him to pay him to go away, maybe there's a club option with a $5 million buyout for year 3. So like he's going to probably get 39, 40 million. That would be my guess.
Okay. Wainwright, old. Rizzo's probably not coming.
Rizzo's interesting.
Severino, that's in. What is this? This giant expected to exercise
$15 million club.
He's been hurt, right?
Yeah.
He's healthy.
So he's going to stay in. He's Cueto.
Nemo now makes sense. To me, that makes sense.
Not to Anonymous.
Benintendi makes sense. Both those guys are kind of nice.
I agree.
Yeah, I like Benintendi.
I could see them going in that direction. Charlie Morton's interesting. Why? Because he's got October experience. He's old, and he won't want a long-term deal. And he's floated around.
What's it say about?
He has a $20 million club option for 23.
Oh, he's going to take that. He ain't getting more than 20 million at 40 years old next year.
Yeah, he might take that, or maybe he could get like a 3-year deal for 30 million. I don't know. 10 million a year. Hey, if you could put 10 million more in your pocket, you might consider it.
Yeah.
The rest of these guys are donkeys.
Yeah.
Conforto is a guy that didn't even play this year.
Didn't play at all. Eovaldi's had arm problems, so I like Eovaldi if you can get him on a reasonable deal.
Now that's a guy you might be able to be a little bit of a reclamation project like Gosman was.
Maybe.
You might be able to get him back for something cheap.
I like Syndergaard before, but his velo's down. So
Hanniger's a guy I like. I like
Hanniger. Went to Bellarmine. You might be able to get Hanniger. What kind of years Hanniger had?
He's only had 49 ABs.
Yeah, so he's hurt. He's 32, but he's a pretty solid player.
This picture of Manaea?
This is Manaea.
He's getting smoked this year.
Yeah, but maybe you could get a decent deal on him. Jock, I think they could probably bring back. So those are the top 30. I mean, that's slim pickings, man. That is slim pickings.
It's slim pickings. That's why you got to go.
That's why you got to develop. That's why you got to draft and you got to develop because there is no shortcut.
You may have to.
If you're the Giants, you're screwed. This is why we've been yelling and screaming about this all summer, because there is no way to improve if all you have is free agency. It's just there is no way to do it.
What do you think it would take?
You can't do it because they're Farhan's too, wants everybody to look down at those terms and say, oh man, Farhan's smart. And the Giants aren't in that bucket right now.
What do you think it would take
Trey Turner? Trey Turner was with Juan Soto and Josh Bell on the Nationals, and they were horrible.
What do you think it would take to get Judge starting? I think it's probably 8 years and $320 to start. Last year he turned down 7 years for 215, 230 or something with the Yankees. And so now he's just
I'm thinking AAV of 35.
I'm thinking 35 to maybe closer to 40 to get him.
Really?
You just have to.
That's just ridiculous.
But Larry, if you got Judge for 4 or 5 years,
he'd be worth it. He'd be worth it because of marketing.
Yeah, and
because
then
he would put butts in the seats.
And the last 3 years, you just have to assume he can't play and be DH, or you trade him back to the Yankees, let him retire there. They'll probably love to take him back.
I think if I'm the Giants, I'm trying to be, what did they have last year that they don't have this year? Outside of Buster, they had way, way better depth. Every time they turned around to make a move, every guy that came out of their system did it. Every prospect they called up helped. Every recall, every DFA, every time they went to somebody new, those guys did it. So this year they're really, really thin. What I would say the best plan is promote the Casey Schmidts and the Kyle Harrisons and give your young guys an introduction, right, to the big leagues, and then go sign a slew of free agents, 7 or 8 of them, but no top guys, but just guys in their prime. The younger free agents who aren't, the Nemos and the guys that we're talking about, Taiwan Walker, and go find great.
Brandon Drury is a free agent with the Padres.
We just realized next year's a rebuilding year. We're not even coming close to sniffing the playoffs. I'm just
here's where I agree with that.
How far is Vaughn Brown away?
He could be up at the end of next year, sometime next year. He's in Double
So
A.
maybe you accelerate. Maybe there's somebody who has a big fall league that you can accelerate their growth. But I would focus on Kyle Harrison, Casey Schmidt, maybe Sean Jelly, probably 4 or 5 other guys that I liked in my system who I thought were on the verge.
Well, Luciano is Double A right now for the playoffs. They're giving him a taste to get his hitting because he missed so much this year. He would have been at Double A had he not got hurt for 2 months. So he lost a couple of months. So he'll start next year at Double A. If he starts off well, April and May, and hits well, they'll move him to Triple A. And if he can master Triple A by or have success, he will be up in September next year. And then I'm still projecting him to be in the starting lineup opening day in 24.
What do you think of this as a plan? Because to me, I think you're going to have to be somewhat strategic to get the Giants back. And I don't think it's a 1-year thing. I think it's a 2-year thing. So this would be my plan. Don't sign Rodon. Go find the pitchers that you think you could sign short term and hawk in July. Right?
That was what they should have done this year.
Right. Totally.
But they didn't.
But this is what I would do. I would find 2 or 3 guys who I was going to sign. Maybe a Charlie Morton, maybe it's, guys that you really think are going to have a good first half and that you could trade in July. And
would
then
you sign Justin Verlander for a year for a high salary? 1 year?
If I thought that was the kind of guy I could trade in July, I would just make a list. My pitching list is not about who do I want. It's who do I want in the first half of this year that I can trade in July. And then I'm going to try to sign 3 or 4 of those guys with my money. And then I'm going to try to make trades for them in July. 4 prospects. And then I'm going to promote Kyle Harrison, Casey Schmidt, maybe a couple others. And between, VR and Bart and Schmidt and Harrison and maybe 2 or 3 others along the way, the relievers that we're talking about, Dabovich and Cole Waits, see if you can get a core of like 7 or 8 young guys that you really like and get those guys going. And then trade for these pitchers that you think you can hawk in July, hawk each one of them for prospects, and then go sign 1 significant position player to a big money long-term deal and explain to him your game plan. Hey, we're going to sign some other guys. We're going to try to move those guys at the deadline for prospects. And then we think going into 2024, between Harrison and the prospects we have this year and the guys that we think are coming next year, in addition to the prospects that we trade for in July, now we go into 2024, better payroll, star player, lots of depth, time to compete. What do you think?
You want another year of Wades and Yaz and Papirskis?
No, I'm kissing all those guys off. I really am.
But you're just replacing them with similar people.
No, I'm saying, I would try to replace them with younger, better players.
But you're sitting here saying you would.
What I'm saying is
your prospects, but
because your prospects aren't ready.
Right, months ago you said I'm not waiting on prospects. I need everyday players.
Yeah, but you can't. But there's nothing to do. There's nothing. It's not like there's anything that can be done. Prospects are the gold chips in baseball. You can't get talent by buying it anymore. Guys, there's not enough good players in free agency, and even if there were, they're all 30 to 32, and they're headed towards the back end. So what I'm saying is do a 2-year deal, 2-year plan, right? You're 32 games out. Can you really, realistically? I mean, if Farhan hired you or me, and we're sitting there in his office,
2-year deal with who? What kind of guys?
No, I'm saying if Farhan came to you and said, Dan, let's talk about this. You're a Giants fan. Larry, you're a Giants fan. Let's talk about really getting back, not pie in the sky getting back, really getting back. How do we do it? I would say, well, you do have some farm system guys coming, right? And so you got some that are going to be ready.
Maybe.
Well, I would say Harris. Yeah, you never know. Harrison and Schmidt, I think realistically, if they were pushed aggressively, might be able to be up next year at the beginning. So that would be my goal, to push that hitter and that pitcher forward, as well as some of these relievers, Dabovich, Waits. They might have another arm or two. Push those guys forward this year. Go into the free agent market. I'm kissing off my entire outfield. I don't want any of those guys. I don't want any of those guys anymore. I'll take Jock Peterson. The rest of them are gone. I would try to sign some free agents, reasonably cost free agents, not top tier guys, and then see if I could find 3 or 4 tradable free agents and then commit to trading them. And then in July, you trade those guys for more prospects. Now you've got your whole second, wave of prospects coming. You already established a few guys this year. And then next year in the offseason, take that money that you didn't spend this year and go give it to Ohtani. And now you're surrounding Ohtani.
And now you're betting wins if you don't get Ohtani.
Well, you don't get Ohtani. You don't get Ohtani. But you know what? But you're not going to get – I would rather build – they're not going to win this next year, even if they get a top-tier free agent. They're going to have to – they've got too much work to do. So what I'm saying is do it in 2 parts. Promote as many guys as you can. Try to turn this thing over as much as you can. But then instead of going for Rodon and trying to saddle yourself with a big money long-term deal, see if you can get 3 or 4 guys that you could either make do with or trade in July, and then trade them in July. And then get a prospect or 2 for each guy. And then you combine those prospects with your growing farm system. And then you go into the next offseason. And because you don't need to fill 9 spots, you may only need to fill 2 or 3. Then you give Shohei, blank check and say, what do you want, big boy? Come on over. To me, that's smarter. And that's more reasonable than this offseason of sign Rodon to big money. What if he gets hurt? Oh my God. I mean, it would just be you would set your franchise back many years if you gave him a 3-year deal and he wound up on the DL.
Take chances at times.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You do not have to spend $30-40 million and have it flush down the toilet and have you win nothing because you're trying to send messages. The bigger message is this team, this fan base has already saw you win. So come up with a strategy to win again. But to me, that strategy is not signed Carlos Rodon
since last year. 2-7-8. They haven't had a winning season since 2016.
It's really bad.
Just once.
I know. I've been doing these post games. I know how bad they are.
Right. So with an extra wild card team, the team is saying they should be in the playoffs every year.
But that's not realistic.
It is if you start spending. And maybe the plan.
It's really not. I mean, come on. You're going to be in the playoffs every year? Outside of LA.
The Dodgers are.
But they are on the cutting edge, Danny. They're spending the money and they have prospects.
The Rays are. They don't.
The Rays are a model organization.
Well, why can't the Giants become something like that?
Okay, but do you become that by spending money in free agency? The Rays haven't done that.
That's not their recipe. Are ready that you need to. Otherwise, you're just.
But my point is just that you can't. It's like you can sign Rodon, but you can't compete.
Cardinals compete every year. They spend less money right around the Giants.
Their farm system in the last 5 years has produced 9 different guys that are all better than the Giants guys. Dylan Carlson, Harrison Bader.
Starting to do a little better, but they're going to have to improve. They're going to have to improve. But look at their salary for next year, 23, and that's with Rodon on there at 22 million. He's penciled in.
My point is just that, come on. A team like the Giants that has so many holes, and even with all the money, it would just be the kick to the gut of kicks to the gut if their big addition is to re-sign Carlos and he gets hurt.
They got to sign a lot, though. They got to sign 4 or 5 guys. They need
all the more reason they can't sign Carlos. That's all I'm saying.
If I'm going to build a team,
I love Carlos, but
if I'm going to build a team, I want a couple of stars. So I'm going to go out and try and get – I'm not saying you're going to get Judge, but you have to try. And you have to try – if you don't get Judge, you got to try and get Turner. If you don't get Turner, you got to be in the market for Correa. Yep. And if you're not going to get Correa, you maybe try and get Bogarts. But then you got to get Nemo. You got to get Bell. Maybe Adam Frazier can play second base. You build up with guys that are proven hitters in the game, that have hit, that have had success. And then you fill that up, and then you need great pitching and a great bullpen. So you want to spend money. You can get a lot of guys in your bullpen, plus bullpen guys are coming up. But you need an ace. You got Webb. You need 2 aces to compete. You do.
How many starting pitchers do they realistically have in their 5-man right now?
They have Webb. With Rodon or without?
Without.
Okay, you got Webb, Junis, Cobb.
Junis.
Well,
I mean,
you said you want a bunch of pitchers that are going to fill up.
I know, but you're naming your second starter, and it's a guy they picked off the scrap heap.
Well, you're asking who they have. I'm telling you.
I know, but I'm illustrating to you how sad that is. So
that's why you need Rodon.
Junis, but no, you don't need Rodon. You need numbers. You need numbers.
Junis is a number.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying you need numbers.
Okay, so you're saying you need numbers. Okay, let me give you the numbers they've got. They've got Webb
and Junis.
Junis and Cobb and Wood and DeSclafani coming back 5.
Yeah.
There's your numbers. You want a couple more guys like that? You want to throw a couple more guys on like that?
Yeah, I do. First of all, DeSclafani I don't believe in, and neither do you.
He's a number. He's one of those guys that you –
But he may be a long man in the pen. That's maybe his spot.
DeSclafani's a Chad Cool.
So realistically, how many do you need? I would say you need about 7 to 10. Okay, so that's 5.
You need at least 7.
So you need at least 2 more starters, maybe 3 or 4 more starters.
Well, that was the plan this year, but Matthew Boyd never came around. They traded him, and so
that is the right plan. That is the right plan. Go with a bunch of starters like LA did.
Well, that's
because then if one guy goes down, then you got another guy to step in.
You're not looking for 5 guys with 30 starts. You're looking for 7 or 8 guys with 162.
I agree. So I agree, but you don't. But here's the bottom line on this: you're talking about LA. You don't match up at all with LA. You have Yaz and Wade and
those guys got to go. I agree.
And Slater, and you got a bunch of a parade of nothingness. So so in reality, you could help your pitching, and you still are going to be
probably
30 games out.
The most valuable guy out of Yaz, Wade, and Slater is Slater because he's a little bit more flexible, a little bit younger, but he's nothing great. But
I'm just saying it's really more of a philosophical thing. It just comes right down to pitching versus hitting. I'd rather invest in the hitters because I think it's safer. That's all. And I for the Giants, the one thing that they can't have happen is I think you would agree with this. They can't go spend big on somebody and have that somebody turn into a zero. because they're so screwed in that situation, right? Because they only have so much money to spend. They haven't been spending it. If they go spend a big amount of money and that guy's on the DL, disaster, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah. But,
yeah. So I mean, so getting healthy guys is going to be huge. So
ultimately, it's really unfortunate, but we're in for another year of the exact same thing.
Yeah. If you go Larry's
I mean, not necessarily the same thing, but it's going to take a very skilled. It's going to take a very skilled, middle of the road kind of a plan.
That's going nowhere. You're not going to.
It is like it's threading the needle.
It's going to take a Sabian kind of plan. It's going to take a plan where you go get 6 or 7 guys. First of all, they need 6 or 7 guys. Whether
that's what I've been saying.
But they can't they can't afford to spend the kind of money that you want to spend on Rodon,
Larry,
and then go get those guys.
Larry, listen, I'm talking $30 million for Rodon annually. They've got $90 million committed on the books next year. That's it. So you could change your organization. It's 230 is the cap for taxes. So if they want to go up to 200,
but they haven't shown that they want to spend 200.
Let's say they go up to 200. So they got 110 million. So you can go get, it takes 40 for Judge. So then you get 30 for Rodon, and you try and get somebody else for 30. Now you got to fill the rest of the guys in with 5 and 10 free agents. But if you're not going to sign Rodon, then you got to go out and get those everyday players, but you got to overpay. But they're not going to just, if you go get
that's fine.
Guys,
I'm overpaying. I'd much rather overpay for a bunch of position players than give a injured pitcher.
If you get Josh Bell and you get Adam Frazier and you get Brandon Drury and you get Brandon Nemo, you're not a whole lot better than this year. You're not a whole lot better. You're
getting
better.
4 everyday guys.
I don't think
you're not better.
He's an everyday guy. He's a good platoon guy that can come in and play every day when someone's injured, but he's not a 150 game guy. But he's a valuable piece.
I just don't want to pay Rodon. I don't want to pay Rodon because, and I know Farhan doesn't either. So I mean, I think it's a ridiculous discussion because he's not going to pay him. He's not going to pay him.
Then he should have. If he knew he wasn't going to pay him, he's a fool for not trading him. He's just going to go for the extra little draft pick that you get for him, which is like pick number 65, 70, whatever. He could have got.
But he was message sending, and he's worried. You know, to me,
I know he believed in the present.
No, it wasn't. He wasn't that. It was Larry Baer was in his ear saying, "Hey, we're honoring Hunter Pence in September. How many people are going to be there? Hey, we're honoring Will Clark.
I don't think.
Hey, we're honoring the 2012 team. Hey, oh, you don't think so? I do think so. I think they absolutely cared how many people were in the park for those games.
And
absolutely.
Going to keep.
Otherwise, why not? Why wouldn't he trade him? Why wouldn't he trade him?
Because he thought they were competing. He said he believed in the
Oh,
team.
my God. They were so dead.
Well, exactly. So he should have traded him.
Well, that's even worse. If he thought they were competing. Oh, it's way worse. If Farhan thought he didn't trade Carlos Rodon because he thought they had a fucking chance when
that's worse.
32
I'm
games. That's awful. That's a disaster. That means he couldn't handicap his own team. That's
I'm saying
worse.
It's worse is he didn't trade him. He obviously has no clue that he thought this team was competitive. I mean, look at it. We said it's a 500 team 3 months ago. They could have went out and
Here's a good idea. Delta Dave 44. Will Myers. Go sign Will Myers. Will Myers is who you can get. You're not getting Judge. You're getting Will Myers. You want Will Myers? Get Will Myers. You're not getting Judge. I know you can talk all you want about Judge. Judge ain't leaving the Bronx for this crap show. No way. There's no way in the world. So he can break Barry Bonds' intentional walk record? Because that's what would happen.
Well,
that's really what would happen. At least Myers hits well in this yard.
Posey is going to be recruiting these guys. And he's got a ton of respect in this game. People love Buster. Buster's a 3-time champion. Aaron Judge. Has he ever won a title? No. And he probably won't win one this year. And maybe bringing back Buster is bringing back the pride of what this team was. I don't believe Buster is here just to be, a pawn.
He'll try. But I mean, realistically, we've talked about it. Money talks. The guys don't go look at where everybody signed this year. They signed Nick Castellano signed, and all these other guys. They didn't sign to be on a winner or to be in. They signed who cut the biggest check. So it's the the golden rule. Those with the gold rule. And the Giants have the money. It's just a matter of do they want to spend it.
Larry, you just said no one goes. You're saying two different things.
No, I mean go look at this year's free agents. They signed.
So why wouldn't they come to the Giants if they gave them more money? You just
because
said
the Giants aren't going to spend that much money, Danny. They're not. They're not.
They're going to have to.
But they're not. But they're not going to.
Then
what? Then nothing. Thank you.
Anybody who goes to the games and pays money to see them is just throwing their money away, and they'll eventually.
So how's that any different than this year?
Giants.
I mean, it's one thing to want it, Dan. It's sad. I mean, I know you want it. I feel that you want it,
but it's the present organization. Brian
just
Sabian
because you want it doesn't mean that you're going to get it.
Brian Sabian would spend the money.
It's not even probably on him. It's probably on the owners.
But they did spend the money when he was there. They had a almost $200 million payroll in 2017.
I mean, I want them to spend a bunch of money too, but come on. I mean, suddenly super cheapo Farhan with his minor league moves is suddenly going to go set the market and sign all these big name free agents. Come on.
It's so that I mean this guy. Yeah, I do want to be able to say that though, just so I can criticize Farhan next year for not doing it.
Well, I will say this: if he doesn't, he deserves to be fired. That's why I told my ticket person, Amanda Kershaw, go out and get some free agents, guys that are big name, ready to play every day, and I'll be renewing. But if he does what he's done for 4 years, forget it.
Jaguayo 56 says, here's $2. Krug, damn Giants should have gone to Tampa. No, we didn't want them going to Tampa, but we just have to be realistic about what they're going to do. I mean, should they spend? Yeah, they
absolutely.
Should.
And I think,
but look what they did this year. They took $20 million and they just put it right in their pocket.
Yeah, but
I haven't heard anybody even cop to it, let alone. Nobody's even said, hey, by the way, we did this year and we didn't have to. We had $20 million we could have spent.
Embarrassed at this point, or you think they just don't care?
I think that they're all so drunk on the championships that they've won their championships. They're all these owners already have their dream. They're walking around cocktail parties, flashing the ring. They're already a success. They're already an on the field success, and they're on their way to becoming a huge economic success because of the Mission Rock project and all the things that they own, and it's generational wealth.
But
so they've won on the field. Now they're going to win at
the stadium again with 40,000 people, sell out for 6-8 years in a row, and have 40,000.
I think they're already successful. They can already flash the ring now.
But don't you think they want that again, or do you think that they'll just
doesn't seem like it? Doesn't seem like it. I mean, they're willing to. They hired this penny pinching, DFA mongering, general manager who's just wants to show everybody how smart he is, and I'll find a Papirski. Great. Good. Let me know. Update your resume. Go to Kinko's. But I just don't. I want it to, but I don't think it's happening. I'll give you a name. Here's a name. Stephen Piscotty. They'll go get Stephen Piscotty. Why? Because he wants to be here. He'll take less to be here. He's a former A. He knows Farhan. Farhan knows him. He's motivated to stay in the market. He'll take less to do it. That's who they'll get. They'll get Piscotty, and they'll get, 3 or 4 other guys along with that. And, we'll see.
Those actually might be worse than this year.
They could be. I think they'll be different. They'll just be different.
And just kind of add just a bunch of
if they just go add different guys that and like what they have, maybe a slight upgrade. I already told you they're going to finish at best 4th place. Because they won't beat out Arizona, and they're not going to beat out the Dodgers and the Padres.
Are the Giants the favorite to come in 4th next year, would you say?
Yes. at this rate, but we'll see what the offseason does. That'll all change depending on what the offseason does. If they go out and make some significant moves.
I just don't want to get all hot and bothered when I really don't think it's going to happen.
I don't. Hey,
it's kind of like, seriously, he talked a huge game.
I'm not saying
he talked a huge game in the offseason, delivered shit. He talked a huger game at the trade deadline and delivered more shit.
Exactly.
And now here we are in the offseason, and they're going to take on Buster, and they're going to talk. They know what they need, and they're not going to. No, they're not going to.
I agree that they probably won't do it. I'm just stating what they need to do.
You're saying what they need to do.
And if they did it, they would be competitive, and they have the ability to do it. That's what makes me go crazy is they have the resources to go out and do it. And I think we both agree the only way they're going to be able to get guys to come here is be $4 to $5 million a year above what everybody else is getting.
Just invest in the younger free agents who who are healthy.
There is no young free agents except Correa.
Well, there are 20. The 27, 28, 29-year-old free agent, 30.
Who's that? Correa and who else?
I can give you a bunch of them. I can tell you a bunch of guys who are that age who are on the list. What position? Basically, as far as if you want a young catcher, Wilson Contreras is 31. They don't want that because they have a catcher. They want a young first baseman. They want a young first baseman. The Belt's 35, for example. Let's say they want a younger first baseman. Josh Bell. He's 30. There's your young first baseman. If you want a young second baseman, go ahead with Adam Frazier. He's 30.
I mentioned him, yeah.
Yep, he's 30. You want a young shortstop, go with Carlos Correa. He's 28.
Yeah,
he's 28. Go with Trey Turner. He's 29.
Yeah.
So those are young guys.
But you said they're not going to probably get those guys.
No, they're not. But I'm just saying there's one or two relatively young guys in free agency.
Yeah, holds at
each position. Give you another one. You said Brandon Drury. Brandon Drury might not be bad. He's 30.
31, yeah.
He's 30. So that one, just shop there and don't shop at the 34.
How old's Rodon?
Rodon's 30.
30? There you go.
Rodon's 30. 31. No, wait, Rodon's probably older. Let's see. Rodon is 30. Rodon's 30.
That's still.
But it's not about, to me, it's not about that for Rodon. It's about he's always hurt. Benintendi's 28. That's a good one. Benintendi's 28.
Benintendi would be good.
He would be a good one. Jock Peterson's a good one. Why? He's 30. He's not 35. He's 30. Right. Jorge Soler is an interesting name. He's 30. Judge is 31, but you're going to have to go such long term on that. Nemo's 30, so he's reasonably aged. Other than that, everybo's like 34, 35, 33. Even Haniger's 32. Will Myers is 32. I
just looked up Rodon.
Scotty's 32.
Rodon is only 29. He turns 30 December.
Yeah, this is what there'll be opening day for next year.
Okay.
And then designated hitters, they're all older guys. Who's the youngest? Trey Mancini's 31. Yeah, so you could maybe go Trey Mancini.
I think they're
like pitching wise, you can find some younger guys.
For their DH a lot. I think they're looking at maybe Longoria as a bridge.
I'm shocked. You know who I'm shocked is 35? DeGrom.
Yeah.
I know.
DeGrom is 35.
He had a late bloom. He was a late bloomer because he didn't do much in his 20s.
That I would have missed that by 4 years. I would have said he was 30, 31.
Because he's only kind of come onto the scene the last 3 or 4 years.
That's amazing that he's 35. So it's just they're gonna have to make some trades. They're gonna have to be good in every phase. They're gonna have to scour and make all kinds of moves and twists and turns. It's going to be, it'll be interesting. Yeah, you're right. And in theory, the Giants are rich and they own their own franchise. The franchise is going up exponentially. They've already, the franchise was bought for what, 400 million or something like that, or 300 million or whatever, 100 million. It's worth billions.
Yeah.
It's worth $3.3 billion.
I think it's
so
worse than the
everybody,
top 5 franchises in baseball.
every owner of the Giants already should be so flushed with cash because of this investment that they should, and you would think, because they got a taste of the World Series and that they're so flush in their investment and they own their park and they're developing all this San Francisco real estate from the ballpark all the way down to SFO over the next 4 decades. You would think that somebody in that position would be all about winning.
Also, that won 107 games
vibe
last year. 107. They set a franchise record in winning like last year.
Like if you told me, hey, I'm going to give you $100,000 or you're going to invest $100,000 and now your $100,000 was already worth like $3.5 million. I would, at that point, would be like, you know what? I'm all about winning now. I put in my 100,000 and it's now paid off so handsomely that my 100,000 has turned into $3.5 million. Now I want to win, but I don't get the sense from them that they essentially have done exactly that. They're exponentially killing it. And yet I get the sense that they still care about the money, that they really still care about the bottom line. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe they'll go in the free agent market and shock the world and become the 2023 version of the 22 Mets, and they'll just go sign a bunch of guys. But can't picture it. Hard to picture. It's hard to picture. And maybe Posey's here to attract them all. Maybe Posey will be the guy who attracts them all.
I do think he's a very competitive person. I believe he was one of the major reasons they won last year. I think he's got a lot of class and he's got a lot of pride in the organization. And I don't think he's going to stand by as an owner, a silent owner. And
it's his money now, though.
Yeah, in meetings and everything else, say, settle for being a third to fourth place team under 500. I just don't think that's in his DNA.
Posey said, or Hendricks says, Posey is just a distraction from a rebuild, Larry. Jaguayo says, I'm getting depressed. Give me Pasquale.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. We grew up.
There you go, Jaguayo. Yeah, Pasquale. He'll cheer up any room. I just think I think we need a little bit of.
Get fired up here. Let's go. Who wants to be up? Yeah! I want to be on the Larry Krueger show. Yeah! All right. Let's go, Giants. All right, we're out here in the bleachers with the Larry Krueger show. Larry Krueger. Yeah, we're gonna be on YouTube right now tonight. All right. Okay. When I say Larry, you say Krueger. Larry. Krueger. Larry. Krueger. Larry. Krueger. All right.
What about the guy right after? I was like, what the hell, man? What the hell?
That was so fun, that guy. My wife was over. She didn't come near me. She was over and, standing up toward the exit, leaving. I'm out there screaming. She's just like, I don't know this guy. But that was, the Giants that was a fun part of the season. They were in the wild card race at that point. And you can kind of tell the difference. It's just people, there was people having fun. There was energy. There's just zero energy right now. I mean, I don't even I was like, I didn't even watch the game tonight. In fact, I just was like, I had no interest. I just figure, well, recap. I can look at the recap, and I guess.
Well, they're just playing out the string now.
Yeah,
and also Denver. It's hard to watch in Denver.
Yeah, I mean. The crazy
2 hits for Wade tonight. He's over 200.
Oh, wow. Well, the crazy thing is I wanted them to start losing, now they've won 3 in a row. So I guess I don't know.
They had 15 hits tonight. I mean, this team struggles so mightily to score, and then out of nowhere, 15 hits.
That is exactly what they do.
It's crazy.
Let's see. Wade
By the way, were you
yeah.
surprised? I mean, I guess we shouldn't be, but they yanked Webb after 66 pitches. He'd only given up 1 hit. He was working. He was in the 6th. He had given up 1 hit, 0 walks, struck out 5, 66 pitches yanked. I guess it's all about next year, I guess.
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't either, really, because I mean, whatever, you're going nowhere.
This is what happened. What you said, Larry. Why Rogers was so ineffective? They overused him. Shut Webb. I mean, watch his ups and downs. Don't let him get up and down. Let him go 5. He got the win. He didn't overextend himself. He didn't have any stress. You don't want to put any stress on a guy in meaningless games at this point in the season.
Well, and also it's a risk. Rodon. I mean, if you did have a pitcher that suffered any kind of a, 1 year, arm issue, and he goes down in September.
Well, he's already pitched more innings than he ever has. So why?
Right, exactly. But that's my point. It's like if you did lose him right now for a year, you would lose him for all of next year. So it's risky.
I would personally. It's
kind of like Klay Thompson going down in the finals. Yeah. It was like automatically he was out for all of the next year. So it's almost like a double kick to the gut.
See what I would be doing right now.
Come on.
What I would be doing with Rodon right now.
By the way, Warrior Camp opens Saturday. How about that?
Yeah, it's awesome. What I would be doing with Rodon right now, if I'm Farhan, I'd be going to his agent Boros and I'm saying, look.
Do you want the Pasquale or not?
We want him signed next year. We want to extend him. This is what we're willing to offer. If you're not going to take it, that's fine, but we're going to shut him down to protect our investment. We're not going to pitch him anymore. If he's not going to come back and we're giving you top dollar, higher than any annual salary you'll get anywhere else. If you're not going to shut him down, because what happens if he goes and blows his arm out in, what do they got? 12, 13 games, 14 games left. He's got 2 starts. Let's say one of those starts, he blows his arm out and he can't pitch next year. You just lost $22.5 million for a guy you can't even use.
Yeah.
So why would you pitch him?
No,
unless you sign.
Most of the people in the chat were like, "Hey, way to go, Giants! Way to pull Webb out of there." All right, let's get a word from our sponsors on the Krueg Show. Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, make sure you use telmetrics.co, Telmetrix.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coccimilgio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you and you can sit down. It's not a one size fits all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
So New York style sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, you know, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never gonna deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it, guaranteed.
Blow says, Mama Mia, that's a spicy meatball. There you go. Joe Blow. All right, guys, that does it for us tonight. Hey, Spida 8 says, New York, Connecticut. That never gets old. Yeah, the recipe comes from back east, from New York, Connecticut. 2 different places, but there you go. We love New York style Italian sausage. We just had some the other day, a little breakfast sausage. We got to get you guys down to the plant and get you guys to load up. Man, when Mike D'Ambrosio and Pasquale dropped the box of sausage on you, you're set. You're set now. I don't know if you got to have freezer room, but it ain't complete. So I'll just say that
every day.
Seriously, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo, it's all damn good. Guys, final thoughts on the night. We talked a lot of Giants tonight. We didn't really talk a lot of Niners. We did a Niner live stream earlier with a guy from the Denver Broncos, from The Athletic, who covers the Broncos. I thought that was pretty interesting. So those of you saying, well, you guys didn't talk Niners. Ryan and I talked Niners for about an hour with this guy. So go to our channel on YouTube and check that out if you want to get the latest on the Niners and maybe a little bit more of the latest on the Broncos heading into week 3.
Speaking of Niners, I know you were saying, and I'm really serious about this. I got to thinking about this yesterday.
What's that?
You know, we talk about it, and you said it yourself. You know, the quarterbacks generally year 3 or 4.
Well, not just the quarterbacks, just anybody. All NFL players typically, right. Year 3 is like they get 1 year to kind of shake off the college, 1 year to adjust to the NFL. By year 3, you're getting, I would say that's the prime.
Aaron Rodgers, when he started in 2008, he played all 16 games and they were 8-8. And then 2009, they made the playoffs. I think they might have been 10-6 or 9-7, something like that. And then 2010, they won the Super Bowl, but he kept getting better. But like year 4, I think he was MVP. So, and I know I'm not comparing Garoppolo and Aaron Rodgers, no way. But what I am saying, Garoppolo's been in the league a long time, but he's only played 53 games. So that's like, if you take 16 times 3, that's 48. That's like he's in the kind of the beginning to middle stages of his 4th year playing. and it's reps and it's seeing defenses. You might see a whole different Jimmy Garoppolo this year, being that it's
you might. And what if you do? What if you do and you win? I mean, here's the one thing that we should not ignore. The 49ers, through 2 weeks, have the number one defense in pro football.
Yep.
They allowed 216 yards to the Seahawks in week 2. They've given up an average. Now, granted, it was the Bears in week 1 and Seattle in week 2. These are not the awesome offenses. But the Niners in 2 weeks have given up an average of 210 yards, total yards. That's the best in the NFL.
Absolutely. Hey, can I just say something to this guy right
here? Their yards per
Mm-hmm.
play is only 4 yards per play. That's second in the NFL defensively through 2 games.
You ain't having a dual parade this year. You ain't having a parade, Ramila. You ain't getting a parade. And if you want to continue to stay in this chat, put some money up. We might just block you.
What if the Niners defense, though, is so dominant that, because you think about it, they got a really deep front. They've got, I think, the best talent at linebacker in the entire league. And now you've got safeties that are playing at a really high level, and they're deep on the corner. I mean, Jason Verrett just sitting around. Dante Johnson's just sitting around. They got guys who they know can play, who are just kind of stack them, pack them, and rack them. They're just depth pieces. They're stacked. They added Womack. They added Ward.
Yeah,
they've added Hufanga in year 2. Looks like a bust-out player. He's one of the most.
Jimmy Ward's on the bench right now with Tayshaun
Jimmy Ward's out a month with a hamstring, and he won't be there till week 5.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion hasn't changed. Like, I think they're going to the Super Bowl, and it's
top 5D for sure, right?
Oh my God!
I went out on a limb and said, could have been a crazy comment, but I like making bold statements that this defense, when the season's over, we'll be comparing it to the Tampa Bay 2000. Was that 2000 or
2002 Tampa, 2000 Ravens. But I mean, Danny, if you're right, and it's a defense of that ilk.
If it stays healthy, it's got the ability to do that. I think
if you're right about that, and they have an all-timer defense, I'm not saying 85 Bears, 86 Giants.
No one's going to be the 85 Bears, 86.
Let's just say you're. I mean, if you really are 2000 Ravens reincarnate, if you're 2002 Bucks.
Even the Harbaugh Niners defense, I think that those honestly were super underrated all-timers.
Then not only can Jimmy G win the Super Bowl, it's a very good chance. I don't want to say I won't say likely because that's just too
tough. But I mean, the thing about
the Niners have a very good chance of winning the Super Bowl if their defense is as dominant as what you're saying.
Well, I think it'll be dominant if it stays healthy because all 3 linebackers are they're just super fast and physical. The defensive line is stacked. And I mean, Givens had a really good game Sunday. And
Ridgeway had a couple bull rushes on that interception that went to
Drake Jackson
Gibson.
Was in there
on the interception that Gibson got on the tip pass from Hufanga. If you go back and look at that play again, that was Hassan Ridgeway basically just driving the guard into the lap of Geno Smith. He never actually beat the guard to the side, either side. He just bull rushed the guard right into, so almost the guard is like pushing into Geno. So Ridgeway just bull rushed that thing, and Geno felt the pressure, and he floated it, and Hufanga got a hand on it, and Gibson picked it off.
I haven't watched I didn't go back and watch the game because I was watching it on Sunday Ticket, and I didn't tape it. I don't even know.
My free trial of all 22 ran out. So
but how did Kinlaw look on Sunday?
Good.
Did he?
Good. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
He still gets tired. He still plays without leverage. But they can play him in rotation. They can keep him fresh.
20 good plays a game, right? That's getting a lot out of him.
Tribe says 2,000 Ravens, stop it. Our secondary sucks ass.
Come on,
Tribe.
come on.
Our secondary does not suck ass.
It's got 2 of the top 5 safeties.
Yeah, I just said R.
In 2 of the top 5 safeties, according to
2 of the top 4, according to Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, I mean, and that's without Jimmy Ward.
Jim Olay says Mr. and Mrs. Purdy will invite Larry to the celebratory dinner. What if Purdy is really good? What should I do to? I should get some victory lap if Purdy's really good. Don't you think?
Why do people make comments like this that don't, Kinlaw not cutting what? I mean, people just throw out these comments like because what? You're a football expert, Eddie? I mean, he's had 2 games and he's looked good. I didn't see much of him Tuesday because Sunday, the game against Seattle, I wasn't focusing on him as much, but I focused on him a lot against the Bears, and I saw him in the backfield. I saw him bull rush guys.
He's always going to be, I mean, maybe this is just my statement on it, but he's always going to be disappointing. Why? Because people are always going to look at that talent and expect him to be Reggie White. And if he's not Reggie White, it's like, oh my God, Kinlaw's not fulfilling his potential.
His role is to stop the run and push the defense, the center of the center guard, push them back in, collapse the pocket so that Bosa and Ebicom can get to the quarterback. He's not designed.
He's got a relatively simple job. It's to command a double team, split it, cover up his linebackers, get a little penetration against the pass.
He doesn't have to sack the guys. He just needs to
play with leverage
pocket
against the inside run. That's it.
He just needs to close the pocket in and allow time for the edge rushers to get in. And when you collapse that pocket and you got guys coming from the side, so to speak, it's pretty hard to,
I'll tell you what, the most encouraging thing to me, if you say, give me the number one thing you're encouraged about with the 49ers, is that Drake Jackson is just now scraping the edges of what he's going to be. Oh, yeah. And right now, Nick Bosa had a sack in this game. It was all Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson got penetration, right, and Geno basically ran the other way. Boom, right into the arms of Bosa. So I believe in Drake Jackson, and I think Drake Jackson's talent's big time. And I think if he can stay healthy and man that other end, man, the Niners have only really had 1 year where they had Bosa and a guy opposite Bosa from the other end. And that year they went to the Super Bowl.
Well, that was D Ford for a while.
Yeah, D Ford in 2019 gave them another edge rusher and made Armstead and Buckner a lot of money. And Bosa piled up a lot of stats. If you put Bosa opposite Drake, and Drake keeps doing what he's doing,
look at how big the defense is. Huge. You just mentioned his name, and we're talking about all these guys on defense, and didn't even really talk maybe about the foundation, which is Armstead. Didn't even mention him because he's such a guy that he just does his job so well. He doesn't do anything like top of the chart fantastic, but he does everything well, and he's just consistent. And we're hitting there talking about Bosa and Jackson and Ebicom and Kinlaw and the linebackers and the defensive backs, and we don't even mention Armstead, who might be the most consistent guy they have.
Yeah.
He was he was kind of like a Brandon Belt. Like people were so like weird about anti. And then he was better than Buckner at rushing the passer and at running defense last year.
Unbelievable in the playoffs last year.
Good stuff, guys. Tomorrow we are back at it. We'll be at Niner camp. I believe open locker room around 2:45 tomorrow. So we'll be down there for that. We'll bring you tomorrow night some more 49er interviews. We got our podcast coming out tomorrow, right? Right? When is the?
It'll be like Friday morning.
But when are we doing it? When are we actually going to do the podcast?
We're doing it at like probably 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Okay. let's talk after this. We'll talk about that, and then we'll be back tomorrow night for more post game. Giants play tomorrow night.
Tomorrow afternoon they play at 12:10. So
maybe tomorrow night we'll do a little early in the evening live stream.
Don't forget to watch this ball club tomorrow. They're on a roll. 3 games. And
all right, that does it for us, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah.